Hello everyone and welcome to our amazing podcast session where today we'll be getting to know about the interview process from our two students of Department of MCA. So we'll be having a conversation of how they got placed in Oracle. So now we have the second candidate, the student of Department of MCA who has also cracked Oracle. His name is Shahiz and I welcome him to the podcast. So first of all, congratulations on getting placed in Oracle.
Thank you, Sanjana.
Okay. We had Shrikara here. So he had said his experience regarding with the interview process. So I would also like to know about your journey through from the aptitude round to the technical and to the HR. So first, would you like to share about the aptitude round?
So yeah, like everyone else, we all had to go through the aptitude round since there were 600 students. So all the 600 students were made to write the aptitude. So we get the placement one day before the actual exam. So suppose tomorrow is the placement, we get the mail today like tomorrow is Oracle, you have to prepare these questions, and tomorrow 9 o'clock you have to come to Samram Hall and you have to be prepared for the aptitude round. So a student like me or the 600 other students, they only get one day to prepare continuously. So what I did in that one day was like as soon as I got the mail, I started preparing it in my mind. Like these are the few concepts which I need to do, which I need to prepare. So first thing which I did was I went through the email of the Oracle and I saw what is the job description. So they specified it's like the cloud specialist engineer. So then me being a beginner, I didn't know what is that. So I just googled that word, I searched what is cloud specialist, I gained some insight from YouTube. Then I found okay there are certain concepts like Kubernetes, Docker, etc. So I searched those concepts and I prepared through YouTube, and I also knew that there is aptitude round. So like everyone else, I went to India Bix and I also used ChatGPT to frame certain questions from my prompt. Like I asked, okay, I have the interview tomorrow at Oracle, so can you please suggest me what questions Oracle might ask in their aptitude round? So since we know the AI is very good, so it listed out all the necessary questions which were asked in previous interviews and it like gave me that list. So it was like, for me it was like an extra advantage because I knew some information which others didn't know. So I tried to search information which others might not. So I gained those questions, I learned those questions. So next day when I had the interview, so as soon as I started writing the exam, so the questions which I learned, like the topics like Kubernetes, Docker, etc., all those questions were asked, and even the aptitude. So I slightly felt like the aptitude was a bit difficult, but all the things, technological skills or cloud related topics, I felt it easier. So I think that was a good edge for me to answer those questions.
So continuing with the interview process, so right after you got to know that you have been selected for the second round, so what did you do?
So right after I got selected for the second round, just like everyone else, I informed my friends and I started panicking like what should I do, what should I do, what should I prepare. So my friends tried to help me and they said like okay, don't worry, calm down, relax a bit. Then since I had already started my preparation, so even if I didn't know like whether I will get selected or not, I assumed that I will get selected. So I had that confidence. So because I knew like if they send a mail today that tomorrow is the second round, I do not have time. So why to take that risk? So as soon as I wrote the aptitude exam, I started preparing for the second round.
Okay. So that positivity is a must.
Yeah.
Okay. So could you share about the interview process that was held?
So for me, so when I got my interview, so we had to go to the hall at 9 a.m. and then it was my turn, it was like 2 p.m. So I had like 3-4 hours to prepare myself. So since others were giving the interviews, so as soon as they came out, I asked like what questions did the interviewer ask.
Okay.
But unfortunately, many of them didn't answer because they felt like, if they answer, what if I search those things, and what if I go and what if I answer? So some of them answered. So yeah, it was a bit trickier to ask them, grab that questions.
Okay.
So then I knew, like, generally what the interviewer might ask. So basically, what I understood is that mostly they would ask me about my projects.
Okay.
So I stopped mugging up things about what is OOPS, what is operating systems, since I know they are going to ask from my projects. So I just saw my resume and I thought for a moment, okay, what should I learn from this? So all my codes, all the projects which I have done, I have put it in my GitHub. So I could easily access all the codes in my mobile phone. And I just grabbed my mobile phone and I searched all the codes. I saw, okay, this function is going to use this. So I went back through the phase where I was doing my project. I thought, like, why did I use this feature? Why did I implement this feature? What if the interviewer asks questions like this, questions like that? So I prepared myself for that. So I just focused on my resume completely, focused on my project completely. So I just prepared completely on my projects, completely on my resume. So whatever apps which I have created in my projects, I run those apps. I saw, like, what are the scopes for the advancement. I searched, like, what could be the possible thing which I could do it in the future. So, and I went to YouTube. I searched certain questions which usually what the interviewer might ask. Questions like, why did you do this project? What do you think are the drawbacks of this project? What is the scalability issue, etc. So I learned and I understood the general idea what the interviewer might ask from me, and I prepared myself from those 3 to 4 hours.
So could you share regarding with the projects that exist in your resume during the interview process of the Oracle?
So in my resume, I had put 4 projects. So all the projects were related to Flutter, app development. So since I'm keenly interested in app development, so I have also done projects on other platforms like React or like Android Studio using Java and Kotlin. But I felt like I was not so confident in that. Since I have done so many good projects in Flutter, I thought it doesn't matter, I will just put the Flutter projects.
Okay.
And apart from that, I was also working on an open source project, so which used Go language. So I knew when it comes to cloud and when it comes to all the maintaining things, Go is very important. And I knew that in the tech world, it will help to solve so many problems. So that one open source project, it acted like a booster for my resume. So it was like a complete balance. So I had my front end properly, I had my back end properly, and I also had my cloud infrastructure properly in my resume. So I just, so if I want to say about what projects did I do, so one project was the social media applications where users can post, create posts, etc. They can create communities, they can assign admins, etc. The another project was my mini project, which was an app for the farmers to maintain their all the income expenditures, etc. The other one was the open source project about the Go language, like how do we build servers, how do we create all the infrastructures and how do we maintain a certain stocks, etc. So the project was about that. Then I had kept a simple project like how to create a weather app, etc.
So mainly projects are really important.
Yeah, it's really important.
Okay. So if I'm a beginner, I need to start learning languages through projects.
Yeah, you need to start developing an idea like, okay, what if I knew this language, what if I knew that language, what projects could I make? For example, you shouldn't learn like, today I'm going to learn React, and you just mug up the whole course, and at the end of the course you will feel like, okay, I have completed the course but I do not have any knowledge. So you shouldn't be that. You should be like, okay, why am I learning React? I want to solve a problem. What is that problem? That problem is my project. For example, you want to create an inventory system. For example, there is an, let's say, a farming or let's say grocery shop nearby. So you see that the grocery person, it's very difficult for him to track all the inventories. So you see that problem. So what do you think? Okay, what if I was the person who was maintaining that grocery? How could I use my technology? How could I use this tech to solve that problem? Then you think, okay, I could create an inventory system where I could track all my incoming products and outgoing products. So once you have that idea, okay, I'm going to do a project on this, then you search like, okay, what tools could I use? Should I use React? Should I use other JavaScript frameworks like Vue or Next.js? You see all those things. Then you plan upon that. So at the end of the project, two things will be done. One, you will have your project, and then you will also learn the language properly, because you have used it to serve a purpose. So next time when you know there is some other inventory projects, you will know, okay, what tools should I use, how should I manage a project. So if you do it in that way, it is easier for you to learn as well as to keep your mindset clear. Okay, so if I am doing this project, I have to use these tools. This project, I have to use these tools. So it becomes easier for you.
So through this, we will also be very confident while explaining our projects to others, as if like we are very good at it. So I would also like to know, like, was there a moment during the interview you felt like stuck? Was there a question asked with you where you had to think for a moment and reply?
There were a couple of times. So since interviewers they are very smart, they ask exactly what you don't know,
Okay.
and then they see how you behave to it. So like any other interviewee, I said, okay, I need 2 to 3 minutes to answer this question. And then instead of thinking the answer in my brain, I spoke it loud. So what I faced was during my coding challenge. So they gave a certain question and they gave it instantly.
Okay.
So they gave, okay, this is a coding question. I want you to like give me the pseudo code in like 2 minutes. So in 2 minutes, it's not realistic to like just see and just say, okay, this is the answer. So you have to think. So what I did was like I think it loud. So I was like, okay, what if this is input, and what if I give this? What if I do it in this way, and what if I use this algorithm? So when my track was going wrong, I could see a certain facial reaction in my interviewer. They were like, what is this guy doing? So then I would ask them, okay, am I going in the wrong direction? Then they will be like, okay, I think you should do it. If you use this algorithm, then you will face this problem. I think this algorithm is not suitable for this. So then they will say like, have you ever heard about, they will say another algorithm. So I said, yeah, I know something about that algorithm. So as soon as I say, okay, I know this algorithm, they will think, even if he doesn't know to solve a problem, he is very much aware of different types of algorithms which are used. So I answered it like that. I didn't know the answer, but I made it look like I know something else. So there is a scope for me to answer. So I make it look like that.
So we would also like to know that do you think body language truly plays a role during the interview?
Yeah, body language matters. Like for example, when the interviewer is asking you the question, and if you don't look very much interested, so they will make it out. So and they will feel like whatever we are asking, he is not taking it seriously.
Okay.
Then they would not be interested to ask further questions. So once they do not ask further questions, they wouldn't know much about you. So in that way, there are high chances that you might get rejected. So as soon as like someone asks or the interviewer asks, I make sure that I clearly understand what they are saying, and I frequently ask doubts, so that when they share, they would feel okay, the person is listening and he's understanding. So I do that.
So other than that, so what do you think made you stand out from the other candidates?
I would say the way I explained the project, not my projects.
But
Everyone had projects. The way I explained the projects, that made me stand out.
Okay, so could you share some of the tricks or how you shared with the interviewee? Have you had the conversation with them? So how formal was it? How did you use your tone, or how was it?
So whenever you explain a project, you have to make them feel like you have achieved something great.
Okay.
Like you shouldn't, whenever you explain a project, you say, I have thought about this for these many days. Then I came up with this idea. So once you make that, the entire idea of the project is like a big deal for you, and it's like you have so much enthusiasm to about that project. Once you show that, the as suddenly the opposite person will be like, is very much interested to listen to you. And once you start explaining the project, you should always remember that you are explaining to a layman. You must always think that person doesn't know anything. You should not start saying technical things like, I use this package, I use that package, I use this algorithm, that algorithm. So when you say that, they will be not interested in your, they will be not interested. They will think like, what is he saying? Is he testing my skills? Is he trying to be more smart? You should not do that. You should explain it in very simple as possible. And you should know what you are explaining. And most important thing, if you are doing projects on your own, if you have honestly done your projects, like without copying it from anywhere else, it will automatically come in. So whenever they ask a question, you will instantly answer and they will figure it out.
So if I'm a beginner and I would like to learn all of the things that is what I'm going to face during the interview, including the aptitude, technical round and the HR round. So would you suggest some things where I could start it from?
So right now, like let's say for the tech enthusiasts who want to get into software engineering, so you need not worry much about the quantitative aptitude or logical reasoning, etc. Because in the aptitude round, you'll have two sections. One is coding round, another one is the aptitude itself. For example, in my personal, what I faced is I am very weak at maths. So I am pretty sure like I messed up in whatever points was asked in the aptitude. But my coding is good. So if you are the person who is really interested in coding, if you learn coding very well, you need not worry about by hearting 1,000, 2,000 formulas. Just if you have a very logical mind, you could easily crack coding. So as a beginner, what I would suggest is, it's compulsorily necessary that you need to know a programming language and you need to be able to solve problems. Let's say you're applying for any role, software engineering, analyst, anything. In every companies, they certainly ask a coding question and you need to solve it. So one thing is the coding question. Second thing is, you need to focus on building the projects. Because even if you clear the first round, 150, 200 people get selected in the first round, but at the end they need like 5 to 6 people. So your resume needs to speak, and your resume can only speak if it has projects. So you need to start doing projects. And how would you start a project? By learning let's say a skill, React, web app, mobile app, etc. Now if you want to make this process much more easier, you could choose a language which would be helpful for both your projects as well as coding. For example, Python. You can code, program in Python, as well as you can create projects in Python. You can use Flask, you can use Django, you can create projects in Python. You can also use databases, you can connect databases, you can use MongoDB easily with Python. Or you could keep specific interest for specific thing. For example, in my case, for programming, I choose Java and Python. For my projects, I use Dart. Suppose the interviewer asks, can you explain me what is inheritance? I would give Java example because my Java is strong in the coding part. And let's say he asks me example of how did you develop a feature wherein you could store all the information about the user in the cloud. I would give the Dart example. So as a beginner, just make sure that you don't dwell into different areas at once. Just focus on one topic. Let's say you want to focus on web development. Just give your 7-8 months into the web development. Try to do 2 to 3 projects. Once, if you feel you're very good at it, and if you feel I can do a really good web app, stick to it and become an expert. If you feel web is not my thing, even though I put my 6 to 7 months of efforts, I still am not able to get that interest, switch to app development or cloud. So make sure that your process is slower, but even if it's slower, make sure you understand. And another thing is the consistency. Make sure you do things every day, even if it's little.
So I would like to ask a suggestion of yours. So when it comes to a person or a candidate or a student who is excellent in technical skills but lacks in conversation skills to express whatever that is going in his mind or her mind during the interview session, so we don't know what are they going to ask. So during that time, instead of getting nervous, so what would you suggest for them to go through this?
Few years back, even I was not so confident when I used to speak. So let's say many people have problem in speaking English. But the thing is, like, even if you are able to understand or even if you are able to convey your message, that amount of fluency is enough in the interview. Now, how would you speak in English? You could watch Hollywood movies. No, there you'll get the idea on how other people speak. So once you see those movies and once you see people in in that area, for example, if your YouTube is filled up with people speaking in English, all the content you watch is an English YouTuber. Okay, all the movies you watch is English. So whatever novels you read is English. Automatically you will start thinking in English. For example, there are a lot of people who speak English here, but when they think in their mother tongue. So when the interviewer asks a question, they think in their mother tongue and then they translate it to English and the outcome is not good. So what I do is most of the time I speak in English, even with my friends, even with my teachers, etc. So 90-80% of the time I speak English. So that's, once you get the confidence in the language, it is easier to speak to someone else in the interview. For example, if you ask any person to speak in their mother tongue, you could see the confidence, how they answer. But only when it comes to English, they lack it. That's because they are not confident in the language. So yeah.
So apart from the language, so if a person is stuck in between when the interviewer asks a question, because he has to or she has to think and then answer. So what if the answer is not so up to the mark that the interview would likely to accept it? So could you suggest some ways where one could increase their compatibility with the answering session?
So in interview, it's not like if you say wrong answer, they'll start scolding you.
Okay.
They won't be like, you said wrong answer, just get out. They won't do that. They will make sure you are calm most of the time. They will themselves say, okay, it's okay even if you said the wrong answer. I just wanted to know your thoughts. So even you should make sure that even if you say the wrong answer, it's okay. Just you can say, okay, I didn't know this answer. I think I have to brush up more on the topic. If possible, you could crack some joke, if it's allowed. Like not too serious, you could say, okay, maybe I was too lazy, you could say something like that. But you should make sure there is a willingness for you to learn again. So wrong answer, many people say wrong answer, even I have said wrong answer, but it doesn't matter because not everyone will know everything. Just to make sure that the conversation goes wherein you know, and that is only possible if you say, I know this topic.
Okay, so at the last, so would you give a specific suggestion or a tip for anyone that would likely to achieve their dream job or a job in a company?
So my tip would be at a beginner level, don't think of a dream job. Okay, so like for example, this is not my dream job. Okay, so at first, whatever opportunity you get, just grab it. Even if you think it's small, it might be small at the beginning, but at some day, that startup will become like a multinational company. For example, even the Google or Facebook, it started as a startup. So at your placements at your college, let's say any company comes, and if you get selected, just go to that company, gain the skills. And once you gain the skills, once you are skillful enough, then try to focus on jumping to other companies. But as a beginner, just the dream college company is not coming to your college, and you'll be like, I want to only go to my dream college, I want to only do my dream job. Then you might be stuck at your home itself. So don't do that mistakes.
So before we end the session, anyone has any questions to ask Shahiz regarding this experience? Feel free to ask anyone. Okay, so we know that they're really shy. So before we end this session, so I would like to thank Shahiz for sharing his experience. So it will help all of us, including me, with how to prepare and what to prepare. We also know what we will be focusing on, what we will be facing. So thank you, Shahiz, for coming for this podcast session.
You are most welcome.
Okay. So how did NMMIT help you to achieve your placements?
So since we know that NMMIT provides huge opportunities for us, so as soon as I came into NIT, we had a lot of companies to apply to. So I got Oracle. So I would like to thank placement department, that is Abhyuday, for giving me this huge opportunity. And I would also like to thank our MCA department for providing continuous efforts by doing placement training sessions. So because of all this, I was able to tackle my placement. So I would also like to thank NIT for the entire opportunity.
So thank you, Shahiz, for sharing your feelings and expressions. Thank you.
Thank you.
So as we all know, we have come to the end of the video. I hope this podcast session has helped you to knowing about the interview process that was shared by our students of the MCA department, Shrikara and Shahiz. So I hope we got to know a lot about what we are going to face, how is it gonna be like, and what and all do we need to prepare. So other than this, I would thank you all for watching this podcast. See you soon. Thank you.